Good morning. All right. So, answer writing session. Okay. So, in this session, what I'm going to do, I will divide the session in two parts. One, how to approach entire general studies, a common approach for paper 1, paper 2, paper 3 and paper 4, a common approach. Then in part B, we will go for paper specific approach, how to approach paper 1, how to approach paper 2, how to approach paper 3 and how to approach paper 4. But again, like what I told you in the previous session when I have taken the live session, I told you two things are very important for the beginner. That is PYQ and syllabus. Still, if you are missing that aspect, then I think you are not serious for your preparation. Simple. If you are not doing that work, that means you are not serious about your preparation. In the last live session, I have told you at least minimum 3 years question paper analysis is required. Minimum 3 years. Though you have to strictly go by 2013 onwards mains examination paper to have a detailed trend analysis. But for a beginner who do not have a proper knowledge of history, geography, polity, all these things, then that person may be not able to understand in the depth and detail. So that detailed PYQ analysis you can do later. But at least 3 years PYQ analysis and memorization of the syllabus is required. Without that, anything is not going to work. Class, strategy, preparation, nothing is going to work. Fine. And usually people do not emphasize on this. That is why they will take casually. So please do not take casually. PYQ analysis as well as syllabus memorization is prerequisite. Fine. So even this session is also having this thing, like I have this prerequisite. You have already memorized the syllabus and you have a rough idea about what are the important aspects of GS paper 1, GS paper 2, GS paper 3 and GS paper 4. I am assuming this. And from now onwards, I will always assume this, you have already did that work. If you are not doing, then it is your fault and you are not serious for the preparation and clearing the exam. Fine. And you need not to just be serious for the preparation. You have to be serious enough to clear the exam. Not to prepare the exam, but to clear the exam. So mindset should be like how to clear the exam. What to prepare, how to prepare, that is one aspect. But the most important aspect is how to clear the exam. Mains exam is the most important aspect of this exam because majority of the marks of which is going to be final marks are coming from general studies paper. So general studies paper and mains paper. So please be more specific on this. 4 papers are there: GS paper 1, GS paper 2, GS paper 3, GS paper 4. Acha, before moving ahead, after this, I will also take one session on essay, but not right now, later on, because essay needs some sort of knowledge also. So I will also give you an insight how to approach the essay. But today's session will be completely focused on what aspect? Answer writing, especially for whom? Beginners. Fine? Beginners like you. So here, a common strategy. Fine? A common strategy which is required for all GS paper. Let's discuss first this. So we have 3 hours in the mains examination. 20 questions are there. I have mentioned 8 minutes each. Fine? 8 minutes each I have mentioned. But usually if you will see 8 minutes by considering 20 questions, by considering 20 questions, okay, I have mentioned 8 minutes, but there are 2 types of the questions in exam. One is 10 marker and other is 15 marker. Here word limit is 150 words and here word limit is 250 words. Fine, 150 words and 250 words. So 150 words question may take 2 extra minutes. So technically for 150 words, you are going to have 6 minutes approximate, and here you are going to have approximate 8 minutes. Fine, 8 minutes. So 6 to 8 minutes is a kind of a rationale, and we must finish our question in that bracket. Because if you are going to take something as an ego, this topic is my favorite topic, on this topic I am exceptionally well, and I am going to write it at any cost. So UPSC want to eliminate such people. Those who take things on ego, rigid. So they do not want such a rigid person. Intelligent person is not always a rigid person. Intelligent person know that at what time to quit, what time to start, at what time to stop. Fine. So UPSC is going to definitely present 1 or 2 twisted question where it is going to take your more time. And by giving more time, you are going to lose other question. You will lose other question. Now take one more mathematics. So here 150 words, 250 words. So total 4,000 words you have to write. Fine. 10 questions are from 150 words, 10 questions are of 250 words. So total words you have to write is 4,000 words. Technically speaking, practically speaking, it is almost impossible to write that 4,000 words in that allotted time of 3 hours. 3 hours, that means 180 minutes. And each and every question is going to take minimum 1 minute to understand and frame. So understanding and framing of an answer, it will take minimum 1 minute. That means 20 questions are there. So understanding and framing minus 20. So technically you have how much? 160 minutes to write. 160 minutes you have to write. And if you are going to take more time, then definitely you are going to lose minimum 3 questions. Minimum 3 you will lose if you are going to follow this strict word limit. So what is a trick? Fine. The trick is this 10 marker, 150 words. Answer should be finished maximum 132, 140 words. Do not cross the line. When UPSC gives that 150 words, it is maximum 150, not minimum 150. Fine. So you have to answer that question in maximum 150 words. You have to answer that question in maximum 250 words. Though they will not mention maximum, but they will write word limit. Fine. So if I will say this is the limit. So this is, if I am saying a general word, this is the limit. So what I mean to say, from here it starts or from here it is going to end. When I say it is a limit, then what I mean to say? I mean to say that from here you have to go forward or here you have to stop. Stop. So when it says that limit is 250 words, limit is 150 words, that is your maximum words in a answer. You should not extend beyond that. Fine. But when we write, we are not able to comprehend in the given words. So this is why UPSC tests you. Okay? And how to overcome that problem. Because when you are trying to explain something, express something, and you are writing that thing in the English alphabet letters only. Fine. It is going to cross. If you know the topic, definitely it is going to cross 150. Fine. It is going to cross 150. Because I want to show how good I am. Okay. What is a mindset of a student? He wants to show how good he or she is for the selection. So I want to give more. And with this approach to give more, I am going to end my answer not in 150 words, sometimes 160 words, 170 words, 180 words. And that is why those students or those aspirants who are writing mains and they are very knowledgeable, they fail first. And those who are having limited knowledge, better way of expression, they get through. Over the years, I have seen that very intelligent students who are having a lot of knowledge, they fail to clear the mains examination. Why? Reason number one, they are not able to finish the question paper. Every question paper, 2 or 3 questions they have left. So imagine if you have left 2 questions in each paper, and suppose it is 10 marks only, though sometimes 15 marks also, but I am imagining 10 marks, 2 questions you have left, 4 papers, 2 questions, fine, or 3 paper, ethics paper you are able to finish, but 3 paper, GS paper 1, GS paper 2, GS paper 3, 60 marks, fine. So others evaluation is going to be of 1000 marks, 250, 250, 250, 250, 4 paper. But for you, it is not 1000. For you, it is 940 only. Why? Because you have left 6 questions. So, if you are going to leave the question because you are trying to be very expressive in the alphabets, it is going to be a counterproductive. So, how to tackle it? The tackling of the answer is provide flowcharts, diagrams. And when I say flowcharts and diagram, fine. Yesterday I have discussed one topic, India and Nepal. I have discussed this topic, India and Nepal. So India and Nepal, now students, what they are trying to do? They are making the map of India and Nepal. That is not required. That is not required. I am not expecting you can make the map of India and Nepal. Fine. How the conflict emerged? Fine. 1820, then 1962, 1969, 2015. So these are the 4 timelines in that topic which you can mention in the line. Here, then here, then here, then here. When you are going to write way forward, how to solve that issue, then you can write a solution like this, 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 and this. And you have mentioned way forward. So you have mentioned the points. Fine, you have mentioned the points. So in this way, you can save some time in that 8 minutes to finish the question paper with quality content but less words. So answer have 2 parts. One is content and other is the verb. Fine. So answer should be focused on more content, less verb. Fine. More content, less verb. When I say less verb, what it means that? It means that you need not to write everything. You can create flowcharts, you can create diagrams, you can create pie chart, whatever the chart, flowchart is required, do it in order to reduce your time to use more and more English alphabet letters. So English is required only in the limited sense. Fine, only in the limited sense. But I want to elaborate this part further. When I say this, English required less. So how it is going to be? So you started with the introduction part. You started with the introduction part. Fine, introduction part. It should be in the proper words. Here, no diagram, no flowchart, no artwork. No artwork, strictly no artwork. Answer should be, introduction should be with some data or facts and the definition of the question. Only 2 to 3 line maximum. Then it is called intro part. Intro part of the answer. When I said that, use flowcharts, use diagram, fine, all these things. or artistic way of presentation. So the artistic way of the presentation is required at which part of the answer? Body, and if way forward is required. All the questions do not need way forward. Fine. For example, questions is on history and reasons for decline of the Mughal. So question is asking decline of the Mughal. अब उसमें आप way forward क्या लिखोगे? There is no way forward in that because you are dealing with the historical thing. Fine. So you are not supposed to say that if Mughals have did this, then they have not declined. Not required, no? So in that question, way forward is not required. But if question is on women and child related problems in our Indian society, then you can present what? Way forward. So when I say that diagram, flowchart, artistic way of presentation, then this work is at this section only. Which section? Body and way forward. Conclusion. Conclusion shall be like your introduction. It shall be like your introduction. Fine. So conclusion like this, maximum 2 to 3 lines, you have to wind up. So intro and conclusion should be in paragraph, and that paragraph should be of maximum to maximum 3 to 4 lines if it is a 15 marker. If it is a 10 marker, introduction must be wind up 2.5 line. If you are going for more than 3-4 lines, it is going to be look like you do not know how to comprehend. You do not know how to comprehend. So introduction part 2 to 3 lines, maximum 3 lines over. Beyond going for 3 to 4 lines, it always look like you do not have a comprehension skills. So introduction must be 3 lines. बहुत stretch कर दिया 3.5 line. After that, not required. 15 marker. Ideally, 15 marker, 3 lines, 3.5 line. Ideally, 10 marker, 2.5 line or 3 lines of an introduction. And the marks is being given what you have wrote here. Majority of the marks of approximate 70% weightage of the question belongs to the body part and the way forward part. Again, way forward only when if it is required. If way forward is not required, you are not supposed to write way forward in every answer. So by default, it is IBC. Introduction, body and conclusion. Intro and conclusion in paragraph. Body, less verbs, and the format will be heading and points. Answer should be strictly written in the heading and points format. Heading, points, and then example. Heading, points, example. Heading, points, example. Heading, points, example. So this is the format you are going to follow in which part? Body as well as way forward. Again, I'm telling you again, way forward only if it is required. If not required, way forward need not to be tackled. Do not try to be over smart. Fine. कि चलो ये भी बता देते हैं. Let's see the UPSC this thing also. What they have asked, answer that thing only. Fine. So usually हिंदी में बोलते हैं जितना पूछा जाए उतना जवाब दो. And this is very common thing when you are going to interact with any person who is having more knowledge and more experience than you, right? So whenever we will deal such people, what they do? They say that ki answer what I have asked. Don't tell me how much you know that. Fine. So same approach of the UPSCs. Answer what I have asked. Do not answer what you know. I am not interested what you know. I am interested in do you know what I want or what I have asked? Do you know that or not? If yes, you will get the marks. If no, you will not get the marks. Doesn't matter how much decoration you have did in your answer by doing the peripheral work. So this peripheral work is never awarded. It's not a board exam. It is not a university exam. It is a UPSC exam. In the board examination and in the university examination, peripheral work is also rewarded. Fine, because they have to give some marks. So usually in the board examination and in the university examination, they have to give the marks. UPSC evaluator is going to sit with the mindset, I have to cut the marks. So he is not having this thing, I have to give the marks. He see the question, find 15 marks. Let's see how much I can cut here. He's not going to give you the marks. His approach is how much I can cut. So after cutting the marks, whatever is left, that is your marks. So that is their mindset. So they are not there to give you the marks. They are going to find out all possible mistakes to deduct your marks. So they go for deduction approach. Here I can deduct, here I can deduct. So suppose this is a 10 marker. And I said that 70% weightage belongs to what? Body of the answer. 15% go for, even 10% go for introduction, 20% go for conclusion, and 70% goes for what? Conclusion of the answer. 20% conclusion, 70% body of the answer, and 10% what? Introduction of the answer. So if introduction is weak, you lost 50%. Immediately, you lost 50%. If conclusion is weak, again you are going to lose how much? 50%. Fine. So out of 10, you already lost. Out of 10, introduction and conclusion have 3 marks. So if you lose 50%, you are going to get how much? 1.5 in this section. Now the body of the answer. The body of the answer have the weightage of 70%, that is 7 marks. And if it is good, then you will get 50%. If it is good, then you will get 50%. So the good marks in the UPSC is 60%. It's a topper's marks. Who top the exam, they usually score 60% in the general studies paper. If you're on an average, if you'll see that all 4 papers combinedly, they are scoring how much? 60%. So our target is not to get 15 out of 15. 15, 12, 10, not possible. Out of 15, you are going to get the best marks in terms of 8 or 9. 9 is too extraordinary. Fine. 7 and 8 for good students. For good students, 6, 7. For average students, 4, 5. For poor, 3, 4. And for bad, 0 or 1. So they do not hesitate to give you 0 also. They will not hesitate to give the 0 also. They will give the 0 also. It doesn't matter, you have wrote a lot of good things. Fine. And suppose they have asked a question on fundamental rights. And you are writing about fundamental rights, not writing what fundamental right it is. Fine. So they have asked, explain the fundamental rights. And you are explaining how fundamental rights came into the picture. Why fundamental rights are significant. They have asked, explain fundamental rights. So you have to explain it. Fine. Explain what it is. If you are going to just mention the background of it and you are providing comparison with the other rights, why they are fundamental in the nature. Fine. So you have wrote why they are fundamental in the nature. You have provided the historical background of it. So historical background, they will not give any marks because that was not the demand of the question. You have provided the comparison and question have asked discuss. So in the discussion, we can go to some portion where we can compare with the other things. So here you can get 1 or 2 marks. So out of 10, you are going to get 1 or 2 if you have not explained what fundamental right is. So answer should be strictly based on what they are demanding. And they demand in a specific manner. Examine, discuss, evaluate, critically evaluate. Fine. And one more dangerous. To what extent you agree with. To what extent you will disagree. So there are 5-6 themes which I will discuss today. Fine. So if the theme is discuss, so answer should be based on discuss. If theme is critical evaluation, then answer should be focused on critical evaluation. If question is asking for examination, then you should examine, not to focus on critical evaluation. If answer question is demanding examine and you are doing critical evaluation, you will not get a good marks. Strict on what they are demanding. Fine, what they are demanding. So here the basic format is intro, body, way forward, conclusion. Intro and body in paragraph, body and way forward in a heading and points, and in the heading and points you can mention diagram, flowchart, or any explanatory diagram also, like artistic diagram, usually when you are dealing with the geography. So in the geography, diagrams are must. In international relations, diagrams are not required. You can use a flow charting. You can use the flow charting. You can use the other way, but not creating a picture. Picture create nahi karna hai. Donald Trump ka photo bana rahe ho. Fine. So Donald Trump's photo is not required. Fine. So this photo work is not required. Unnecessary map creation is not required. Write only what is required for the exams demand, questions demand. Okay. Now, see here. So, see, did you answer the question that was asked? As I said, verb and keyword. When I say verb, what it means that examine, find, evaluate, critically evaluate, all this part of the verb. So you have to answer on what they have asked and answer what they have asked to do. If they have asked to do examination, examine. If they have asked critical evaluation, do the critical evaluation. If they have asked explain, then explain. Second thing, it is structured, so the marks is easy to find. As I have just explained, intro, body, and conclusion. IBC. IBC. Intro and conclusion in para. Body is in heading, points, example. HPE. Heading, point, example. Heading, point, example. Heading, point, example. Fine. So this is how you will go for what? Body, and if required, diagram and flowchart. So diagram and flowchart if required. For which portion? To structure the answer. Fine. Third, did you add value beyond the textbook? Means you have wrote the answer on something. Fine. So in order to fetch more marks, data driven approach is required. So if you are saying that there is a lot of poverty in India, a lot of ka matlab kya hota hai? There is nothing like a vague thing. Lot of, many, too much. So such words are red flagged word. So if you are going to write in such a vague way, India is a vast country. What do you mean by vast country? Present the area of India. India have vast coastline. Fine. This is not going to reward. This is going to give you the negative. आपका marks कटेगा वहां पर. You are going to lose the marks. So do not use such vague words. Many people have said this. अरे many people का क्या मतलब होता है? There is nothing like a many people. Many scholars have said this. Many experts on the constitution have said this. Many experts ka means you are also expert. To calling someone expert. Fine. And an idiot is going to recognize other idiot very fast. Fine. So don't do this nonsense. Mention it properly. If you are saying that constitutional experts, then you have to mention the constitutional experts. Fine. You can mention the name of Falish Nariman. Fine. There, as you will progress in your subjects, you will come to know that the scholars, experts, and you are going to read the newspaper. In the newspaper, you will find the certain names who are regularly going to write on the constitutional matter. They are regularly going to write on the particular matter, and you can quote directly. Fine. A leading writer or scholar who, suppose you are going to write Suhasini Heather. So Suhasini Heather regularly write in the Hindu about international relations. And Hindu newspaper is a newspaper which is being read by all the students who are appearing for the civil services. So if you are going to mention how to improve India-US relation further, or how to improve or how to resolve the India-Nepal boundary matter, and you are able to mention according to leading scholar or leading columnist, the better word is according to leading columnist in the Hindu, Suhasini Heather, she said this thing. This is one aspect of writing, and other is according to many scholars. So which one is going to be rewarded? According to many scholars is going to be rewarded, or according to Suhasini Heather? Which one is going to be rewarded? So see the problem. The problem is, why I'm using the word problem. If you have not did this work, but some students who are doing their good work, they will mention. Do you remember that? Every student who is sitting here or who is watching online also, in your school time, there was one classmate of yours who always says that, sir, today you have to check the copy. Today you have to check the copy. Why he said that? Because he already finished his work. Fine. He don't care whether you have did or not. And everyone is like, fine, like this. But he said that, sir, today you have to check the copy. So I am just trying to remind you, in the mains examination, there are many students who have this. So they are going to do their homework. They will mention the scholar, they will mention the data, and they will mention all the technical aspects, data aspects of the answer. And if the evaluator is going to see their copy, he will set the standard, the gold standard. What is gold standard? He is mentioning all those scholars, data, facts, example, and then he will see your copy. And you are writing what? According to many scholars, according to leading data published by the government of India. मतलब एक तो आप data नहीं लिख रहे हो. You are not mentioning the data, and you are thinking the person who is evaluating the copy is a fool. So here what will happen? Those who have not mentioned this line, fine, they plainly wrote the answer, they will get even better marks than this person who wrote according to many, according to that, according to this, until unless you are going to pinpoint it precisely. So pinpointing is very difficult. How I am able to recall such a data? Arey bhai, that is why it's a UPSC exam. Chhajjumal engineering college exam thodi na hai. Fine, it's a UPSC civil services exam. And here you have to perform at that level. So you have to do it. And it is possible. So you should not worry about it is not possible. Over the period of time, when you are going to read the things again and again, you will be able to recall. Yesterday, I was taking one class of economics. Fine. So in that, the data was non-tax receipts. Non-tax receipts to the government of India, 6.6 lakh crore. One student who was sitting here, he was asking, sir, how I am able to recall this data? I said, Acha. So that lecture was of 2 hours. Okay? 2 घंटे का पूरा lecture था. In that lecture, I asked the same question again and again to him. What was the data? What was the data for non-tax receipts? So 6.6 lakh crore. Again, after 10 minutes. So I was keep asking this question, 6.6, 6.6, 6.6. So when the class is about to end, because I keep asking. So before the class is going to end, I just looked at him. Sir, 6.6 lakh crores. Class is over. Class is over. I went down to my cabin and he was again going to his, going for tea or something. Again, he saw me. I said, how much? Sir, 6.6 lakh crores. I deliberately waited downstairs. He will come back after the tea and he will go for his next class. I was waiting, deliberately waiting. And he saw me from somewhere around 50-meter distance and he said, "Arey yaar, we fir puchega." Okay. He came and again I asked, "What is?" Sir, 6.6 lakh crores. Abhi aaj class mein aayega na, to the moment he is going to see me, and if I am going to have a cunning smile on my face, he will know that he is going to again ask. This is how you have to remember the data. You should have this thing in the mind. Ki UPSC is going to ask me and I will tell him. by force or by wish. So we do not have an option. We do not consider I have an option to not to recall it. If I will have this thing in the mind, ki I must have this, then you will have it. The moment you are going to think na, ki shall I have it or shall I not have it? Is it important or is it not important? Shall I mention it or not? Once you will create an option, you are not creating option, you are creating escape route. But once you do not have a escape route, you know that ki I have to do it any cost. Fine. Then you will be able to recall. Human mind works in this way. Fine. Pressure. Fine. Pressure is going to make you more focused. So pressure should be always there. Pressure, but should be like a pressure cooker. Not be unlimited pressure. But always have this aspect. So data can be mentioned easily. You should not worry ki I am not able to mention the data. You will be able to mention. Have trust, have a faith. And over the period of time, we will also let you know how to extract the data. In the same class, when I have given 6.6 lakh crores, fine, data. With that data, I have fetched 3 more data. With this data only. With this data only, we have fetched in the class 3 more data with this data. So this is another way to recall the data. Fine, recall the data. So what we usually do over the period of time, we will do this thing in the class also. We will have certain master data. And that master data, if we have in our mind, then we can fetch the related data of that subject. For polity, for economy, for geography, fine, we have the master data tactics. So that master data tactics is going to let us know that this is the master data, and with that data, I can fetch the other data for the exam requirement. So you should not worry too much about the data and all, because for every subject, somewhere around 30 to 40 entries will be there, which we can effectively use in the exam. And sometimes I am going to use my data in such a way so that it can fulfill the requirement of the question. Means, suppose the question is being asked and I do not have a data of that question. But what data I do have, I will present my data in such a way so that it can fulfill the requirement of the question. And that is something not beginner's skill. For that, we will have one more session after 3-4 months. When you are going to have some knowledge of the answer writing, then we have another session, how to enrich the answer. This is how to write an answer. Then we will have how to enrich the answer. Understood? So here we went for these 3 aspects of the answer. Then this is very important. In fact, this is the most important part of the answer. Fine. Questions are of what type? Questions are of these types: discuss, examine, evaluate, assess, analyze, critically examine. To what extent? Fine. And here I have given the precise way what to write in the answer. If question is asking discuss, then what you have to go for? Multiple angles of that topic, reasoned position. What it means that reasoned position. So when you are going to analyze multiple angle, then you have to present an example. This angle, so suppose you find 3 dimensions. So this dimension can be explained with this example. This dimension can be explained with this example. This dimension can be explained with this example. So you must explain possibilities, and all possibilities which you are going to explain, that must be supported by example or data or fact or some prominent scholar who is writing in that particular area. For example, in India, there is a concept of jobless growth. Fine. Discuss the jobless growth in India. So, jobless growth. Fine. So, what is jobless growth? So, first in the introduction, you will explain that over the period of time, India's GDP growth rate is consistently rising with 7 to 8% of the GDP growth in past 25 years, but the employment rate is remain stagnated. Employment rate is remain stagnated, and that is why it is called as a jobless growth. Fine. Now let's examine the possible reasons for jobless growth. Fine. Possible reasons. So you are going to mention the possible reasons of the jobless growth. These are the possible reasons. Fine. And every point need to be explained with what? Particular example. Fine. And on the basis of those examples, you can conclude that the broader verb, that is what? Discuss. So on the basis of above mentioned examples and approach, we can say that India is largely suffering from jobless growth over the period of time. Fine. So this is what you have to do when the question is related to discuss. When the question is asking examine. Same question. This time question is asking examine. Probe closely. Test the claim against the evidence. So when it is said that jobless growth, fine, examine the case of jobless growth in India, then I will not accept it that yes, there is jobless growth outrightly. I will establish whether there is a jobless growth or not. Whether there is a jobless growth or not, I will examine it. Though in the discussion they are asking discuss it, so you are going to discuss the aspect of the jobless growth. But the question have asked what? Examine. So you have to see the jobless growth with the question mark. The concept of the jobless growth we have discussed in the previous question, but in this question we will put a question mark in the concept of what? Jobless growth, and we will write certain evidences have showed that there is consistent rise in the employment in India and unemployment rate is declining. So this declining unemployment rate questions the concept itself. It questions the concept itself. Whereas data from other sector, like for example, data from the agriculture sector remains support the jobless growth. It supports the concept of jobless growth. So Indian economy, certain sectors are supporting the concept of jobless growth. Certain sectors are not providing strong evidence of the jobless growth. So the concept of the jobless growth is still a contested concept in India. But apart from this discussion, the growth is important, but providing more jobs is also important. Despite jobless growth is there or not, government should remain committed and focused on increasing the employment opportunities in India. And for that purpose, government have to do certain things. अब आपने certain things लिखा, marks नहीं मिलेगा. If you have mentioned, government have to push certain schemes, Startup India, creating more employment in India. So if you have mentioned 2-3 schemes, fine. And then you have concluded. So then it is really called what? Examination. Fine. Now, evaluate, assess, judge the worth, weight both sides, conclude the balance. Now, the question which I have taken, jobless growth. In the case of jobless growth, examine and evaluate are going to be almost same, almost identical. But usually what happens, if you'll see in questions, in questions, then what will happen in the questions, they use this word examine majority of the time in 10 marker, and they will ask you to evaluate in 15 marker. So the basic difference between examination and evaluate is basically more elaboration and more intense comparison. So here see, I have wrote test the claim against evidence. Here I said judge the worth, weight both sides, conclude the balance. Fine, conclude the balance. So when I have to examine, When I am going for examination and issue is certain issue where government need to do something, fine, there is need to make it better, then I will go for suggestion based conclusion. But if the question is of what? Evaluate or assess, then I will end up with the balance. Example, take the same question of jobless growth. Fine. So when I went for examination, I said that this is jobless growth. What it means is jobless growth. Fine. Claims which assert there is a jobless growth. Claims which assert there is no jobless growth. Then I said that whether the jobless growth exists or not, government, country should remain committed for accelerating the employment opportunity in urban as well as rural area, and specifically rural area. Fine. So jobless growth concept is an important tool. Listen carefully, okay? Jobless growth is an important tool to push the employment opportunities in India. Concluded. I went for evaluate. I will examine. First, I will explain what is jobless growth, whether jobless growth exists. These are the example. Jobless growth do not exist. These are the example. Now see how I am going to change the course. I am going to say that jobless growth is an important tool to mention in the country and focusing on job versus growth concept. Usually government is more focused towards the growth, and the benefit of growth usually goes to those who are rich and affluent. But the job focus is going to provide more and more opportunity to lower and middle class section. So even jobless growth do not exist in India. Still, government take it seriously and focus on increasing employment opportunity in India. So I have not rejected the idea of what? Jobless growth, and I have presented is how it is useful to provide insight. So more or less, if you will see, the characteristic of these two questions are almost same. Fine. So you can handle, examine and evaluate question in the same manner, but here it is going to be more balanced. Fine. Like for example, I'll take another question. Fundamental right versus directive principle of state policy. Fundamental right restrict the government, and fundamental right says that these are the rights of the citizen which government cannot take. Whereas directive principle of state policy, they put an obligation on the government. Government do these things for the betterment of the public. Now, government want to do something for the betterment of public, but for that, maybe it is going to take fundamental rights of some people. For example, right to property. So at a point of time, right to property was a fundamental right. And India was historically under the zamindari system. After independence, we have to abolish the zamindari system and redistribute the land who are doing the work for centuries. But now if we take the land of a zamindar, he will claim why my fundamental rights is being violated. Government says that the fundamental right of individuals being violated for the greater good of the society. So there is a debate between whom? Fundamental right are prominent or directive principle of policy, state policies are prominent. So if such question will be there and that question is focusing on what? Evaluate. Then I will present a balanced picture. How both are important for a better nation and the society. And that is why I have mentioned conclude the balance. So the USP of evaluate type of the question is conclude with balance. Fine? Balance. So questions are also going to ask in the way where you can provide a balanced conclusion. Questions are not going to ask in the way where you cannot present a balanced conclusion. They will not ask a outrightly say yes or say no. They will give you the situation, they will give you the question where you can really provide a balanced conclusion. Fine. So the USP of this method is the balance. Fine. Now, analyze, break into parts, show how they interrelate. Causation, not description. Fine. Analyze, break into the parts, show how they are interrelate, and causation, not description. Take that same question, jobless growth. ठीक है, फिर से वही क्वेश्चन लेते हैं jobless growth का. Now they are asking for the analyze. So, what led to the growth in India? What led to the joblessness in India? Now, let's examine how the joblessness is related to the growth. Fine. So, I will examine how India has grown over the period of time. Then I will also examine how joblessness has increased in India. Then I will establish a connection between these two, joblessness and rising growth. And then I will establish a facts कि those facts are indicating कि India have went for jobless growth in particular sector. India have not went for jobless growth in this sector. So I will examine, I will provide evidence, and then I will establish the connection, and I will also go for how they are not being connected. So here what I have did while examining, I said that certain sectors are showing that it's a jobless growth. Certain sectors are not showing the jobless growth. But here, when I will analyze, I will establish how this sector, in what way this sector is showing the jobless growth. Why this sector is not showing the jobless growth, and why this sector is showing the jobless growth. Fine, so I will establish a fact. Here I will just tell that there is a jobless growth and there is no jobless growth. Here I will let the answer, in the answer I will mention, this is why here there is a jobless growth, this is why here there is no jobless growth. So this is the difference between what? This is the difference between examine, evaluate, and what? Analyze. So you have to provide the reason for it. Analyze. This is what analysis is now. Going for evidence of each and everything. So I went for what? Analyze. Now UPSC's favorite. Critically examine. Critical examination is like, fine. Critical examination is like you are telling about your friend to other friend, and you are telling about the same friend in front of your parents. So when you are going to tell about your best friend, fine, with someone other who is your friend circle. So suppose that, consider your best friend, fine, and you are telling about your best friend to other friends. So are you going to praise him or you are going to abuse him properly? Tell me honestly. Praise. Praise karoge. Are you going to praise your best friend with the other friend? Huh? Ki ye mera dost hai. He is my friend and he is dash 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 dash. But in front of parents, Papa, he's gold heart. He's exceptional. Every time I'm facing any problem or issue, he is always helping me. He's very good. He's very nice. But in front of other friends, are you going to call by his name or some other name, the pet name which you have given? Tell me honestly. Are you going to call your best friend by his name or the name which you have given him? ठीक है, मैं तो अपने फ्रेंड को बेटा ही बोलता था, आज बेटा come, ठीक है. Whatever you are going to say abusive word, sorry for this, but majority of the time friendship is like that only ना. गर्ल्स का नहीं मालूम मुझे, ठीक है, but mostly boys के केस में ही होता है, ठीक है. But see how drastically you are. अच्छा ये भी तो आपने किया होगा. Outside you are what? Outside you are something, and at your home. So you are showing both sides of your personality. Extremely flamboyant outside, introvert, quiet, silent. At where? House. So you have shown both part. UPSC also want Show me both sides strongly. Fine. I do not want you should sit on the fence. My friend is good, but sometimes he get violent. He is good sometimes because of this, and he become violent because of this. So here in the critical examine plus judge. Examine plus judge. So here plus what? Judge. It become what? Critical evaluation. So judging means what? Judging is not means you are going to give a verdict. Fine. आपको real वाला judge नहीं बनना है. You not to be a real judge. Judge means you are judging the positive aspects and negative aspects. So if you are going to say that ki my friend is very good, it's a vague statement. My friend is good whenever I ask for him money. He is very good. But when I ask him for his bike, he is very cruel, he is very bad, he never gives me. So I have clarified in what sense he is good and in what sense he is bad. Fine. So this is called a judgment. I said that my friend is good in certain aspects, my friend is bad in certain aspects. This is not an examination, this is not a judgment. The examination and the judgment is going to be focused on what? Both aspects. And both aspects must be explained and provided the evidence. These are the evidences which shows that he is good. These are the evidences which are going to say that he is bad. Though there are certain issues in him, but overall he is good. Though certain issues are in him or her, but overall he or she is good. This is called sitting on the fence. Sitting on the fence, I do not want to be blamed. I said he is wrong, and I also do not want to get a credit. I said he is right. So many people do in the answer what they do. They say in this way, though there are certain issues, but overall it is right. Wrong way. These are the issues why this concept must be criticized. These are the evidences which clearly shows that India do not have a jobless growth. And these are the evidences which clearly says that India has a jobless growth. So when we compare both evidences, we found that overall India is facing a lower employment rate, but not exactly jobless growth as per these evidences. So despite India is not having a jobless growth, the evidences says that India need to strongly focus on creation of more and more employment. Though government have initiated certain initiatives, production linked incentives, more and more push for the infrastructure, but government also have to add these efforts. So this is going for what? Critical examination, strength versus weaknesses, and give the verdict. What verdict you have given? Verdict you have given, government should focus on what? More job creation. Understood? Now, to what extent? Quantify your agreement, specify the degree, and justify it. So if we will see the jobless growth question again. So from 1992 onwards, if we will see today, in 2026, so India was facing a jobless growth in particular era. Especially, India have faced the jobless growth kind of a problem from 2005 to 2015, 2017, 18. So that phase was a phase where the jobless growth became an important issue. So I do agree, India has faced the jobless growth, especially in this area. But in general, India faces always a jobless growth? Answer is no. So here, I do agree with the jobless growth, but to certain extent, not completely. So why you agree? Why you do not agree? So why you agree, why you do not agree, this need to be mentioned. So here you have to be careful, because here to what extent that should be based on data driven. This is the reason why I agree to this extent, and beyond this extent I do not agree. So if you see all these 6 categories, everywhere you need a data driven approach. Without data driven approach, answer is not going to fetch 50 or 60%. But sir, paper 1, paper 2, paper 3, total 60 questions. And how I will be able to recall data of every question, because syllabus is wide. Fine, lot of things. Again, I am telling you, many of the data you will have in your mind. How many of you remember the roll number of your high school exam? Fine, it's also a data. Right? And do you know that sometimes they do ask in the UPSC interview? Very famous tactic by the UPSC interviewer, they do ask, oh, so do you remember the roll number of your high school examination? Because this is the first time we are tested not in the school but outside the school. Board exam. Right? The board exam, not board exam, the board exam. So sometimes they do ask. Fine. Achha, many of you do not recall the board examination roll number. But if I will say that it is important and it is being asked in the UPSC exam, the first question they are going to ask to you in the UPSC interview is your high school roll number. Will you remember it? Will you remember it, or still you are going to take a chance? You are going to remember it. So this is what I am trying to tell you. I am not going to think whether they will ask me my roll number or not. They have asked, they can ask again. So I am not going to take any chance. I will remember my high school, 12th as well as graduation roll number. Fine. So this is what we do have to set our mind. Daily reading of the newspaper, consistently doing the revision of your notes, then writing practice is going to create your good database. So do not feel scared of the data driven. Do not feel helpless. How I can remember this data? Structured way of functioning, structured way, fine. And the structured way, NCERT class notes, revision, practice. Revision, practice, revision, practice, revision, practice, complemented by daily writing, so not daily writing, sorry, revision practice plus newspaper reading thorough. And the newspaper reading, which I have told you in that session, follow that. Again, I am telling you, any structured work is like a toilet training. Any structured work is like a toilet training. Fine. Like a toddler. Fine. So toddlers or newly born babies, what they do? They will urinate and defecate in there. But gradually, as they are going to grow, the first training given to the kids is what? The toilet training. And the toilet training is going to be the first discipline of our life. Fine. And if you, maybe you are not able to recall, but have you seen that how difficult it is? Fine, you have trained him, but still they are going to do that thing. Are you going to beat them, or you are going to patiently them explain? They will make mistakes, but parents are usually going to take it in the way so that it can understand, it can learn. So even a toilet training is very difficult for the kids. They can say at any moment, you are in the movie theater, fine, and you are watching an intense fight scene, and he said, Papa, Susu, you can't do anything. You have to go for it. You have to go for it. Fine. So please understand, anything which need to be channelized, focused and routine work, it always create a problem. Always create a problem. But once we will settle in it, then you will see the real magic, how it is going to help you. So the way I have told you, go for the newspaper, go in that way specifically. The way I have telling you how to approach the answers, you have to follow this one also. Fine. Now, one example. Critically examine Supreme Court's judgment in 𝐃𝐨𝐰𝐧𝐥𝐨𝐚𝐝 case. They have asked, fine, critical examine. Now, see, critical examination, explain the basic structure, introduction part. Then judge it, both sides, strength of the basic structure, criticism of the basic structure, and end with the balanced verdict. But if you are doing this, only clarify what the doctrine is, its origin and how it works. No judgment required. Adding criticism would be waste of the time you don't have. Fine. So if it has said what? Explanation. Explain. And it is asking what? Critically examine. So in the critical examination, these aspects need to be there. And in the explanation, what you have to go for? Clarify the doctrine, its origin and how it works. No judgment required. No judgment required doesn't mean that you should not mention the cases. Judgment, whether it is basic structure is right or basic structure is wrong. So here in this question, if it is a critical examination, if this question is demanding what? If this question is demanding critical examination, then we will go for strength and criticism and balanced verdict. But if this question, rather than asking for critical examination, it is asking only for what? Examine the Supreme Court's judgment in the 𝐃𝐨𝐰𝐧𝐥𝐨𝐚𝐝 case. So what we are going to do? We are going to clarify the basic structure doctrine which was propagated by Supreme Court in 𝐃𝐨𝐰𝐧𝐥𝐨𝐚𝐝 case. Fine. What led to the origin of basic structure? What led to the origin of basic structure? See what happened. Supreme Court in that case said that certain aspects of the constitution cannot be changed because they are basic in the nature, and that is called basic structure doctrine, came in 𝐃𝐨𝐰𝐧𝐥𝐨𝐚𝐝 case. So here what you are going to do in the examination, you have to explain what led to Supreme Court give this judgment. So see what happened. I'll tell you very briefly. After independence, government want to redistribute the land from zamindars to peasants, those people who are working on the field and they are landless laborers. So government want to redistribute, but fundamental rights do not allow that. So you went for the amendment in the constitution. And you said that we are creating one new schedule, 9th schedule, and any law in the 9th schedule cannot be challenged in the court of law. So you started bypassing judiciary. Fine. Judiciary is found that Parliament is trying to bypass everything by taking a shadow of 9th schedule. Anything you want to bypass from the judiciary, make the law and put it where? 9th schedule. So something I want, judiciary should not examine it. So I have put what? I have put in the 9th schedule. So judiciary found that okay, for that case, it's okay. Which case? Land distribution. But in the name of land distribution, even you are making any law and you are putting in what? 9th schedule and taking the advantage to bypass the judiciary. That is not right and that is not acceptable to us. And then Supreme Court reacted in one case, that is Golaknath case. In Golaknath case, Supreme Court said that government do not have any right, Parliament do not have any right to change anything in the fundamental rights. Fundamental rights are sacrosanct in the nature. You cannot change anything in the fundamental rights. Parliament also reacted. Parliament said that we have unlimited power to change any part of the constitution. Then it is judiciary versus Parliament. Parliament said that we can do anything. Judiciary said that no, you can't do anything. In the fundamental rights, you can't do anything. Parliament said that we can do anything. Now, as a balance, what came? 𝐃𝐨𝐰𝐧𝐥𝐨𝐚𝐝 Bharti case. So 𝐃𝐨𝐼𝐧𝐥𝐨𝐚𝐝 Bharti case said that Parliament can do anything except what? The basic structure. We acknowledge the Parliament's power to change anything, but we also acknowledge Constitution is a fundamental in the nature, and certain aspects of the Constitution are foundational in the nature, which cannot be changed by who? Which cannot be changed by anyone. And that is why there is a need of basic structure. Now tell me one thing. If you are not going to write those things in the examination type of the question is asking examination. So you have to explain what led to the origin of 𝐃𝐨𝐼𝐧𝐥𝐨𝐚𝐝 Bharti case. And question is in critical examination. Question is asking critical examination. And the critical examination, what you are doing, you are providing what led to the rise of basic structure and 𝐃𝐨𝐼𝐧𝐥𝐨𝐚𝐝 Bharti case. So you are not going to get a marks because question is asking what? Critical examination. You have to go for strength and weaknesses. Focus here. Whereas here, when the question is to examine, only examine, then you have to explain what led to the rise of 𝐃𝐨𝐼𝐧𝐥𝐨𝐚𝐝 Bharti case. Okay? Otherwise, you will not get the marks. And what mistake is committed by the most of the people? They do same thing. 𝐃𝐨𝐼𝐧𝐥𝐨𝐚𝐝 Bharti case, when it came, and then the pros and cons. In every question, you do not need to go for the pros and cons. Go by the verb. Discuss, analyze, examine, to what extent. So this need to be what? These need to be your foundation. Discuss, examine, evaluate, analyze, critical examine, to what extent. That is your verb, and as I said here, did you answer the question that was asked? What? Verb. Verb and keyword. Now you understood what verb is here. Analyze, examine, find, critical evaluation. All these are what? Verb. So you are not going to answer 𝐾𝐶𝐴NAND Bharti case. You are going to answer 𝐾𝐶𝐴NAND Bharti case according to the verb of the question. So 𝐾𝐶𝐴NAND Bharti case देखकर पागल नहीं होना है कि आ गया मजा आ गया, ठीक है? Now you are going to vomit whatever you have put inside. No, you have to write only according to the verb. If they have asked critical examination, go for critical examination. If they have asked examine, then go for examination. If they have asked analyze, go for the analyze. If they have asked to what extent, go for that only. Do not try to be over smart. Go according to the demand of the question. Understood? Clear? Got the clarity? Fine. See, introduction 15% weightage, body 70% weightage, conclusion 15% weightage. Fine. So this is what your question going to be answered in that way. Means the thing which you need to see: starter, main course, then dessert. Fine. If you will mix each and everything, starter, main course and dessert, and put in the mixer grinder and serve that thing to your guest, and he will feel that you are utterly mad person. Fine. So similarly in the answer, introduction is like appetizer. Fine. So just give a glimpse how the main food is going to be tasty. Fine. How the main food is going to be tasty. So introduction is something like you are going to tell what you are going to do in the answer. Introduction is like what you are going to do in the answer. and do that thing in which part? Body and way forward part, and then summarize in conclusion. So simple analogy for a very layman. Fine. So simple analogy for the layman is simple. What you have to keep in the mind, what introduction says that, it says that what I am going to do in this section. Fine. Then explain it thoroughly and properly in the body. Approach should be English based or data driven based. Approach to the answer is data driven or words only? Data driven approach. Fine. Then the conclusion. Now see, define the keta, give a precise fact data, frame the significance, no question repetition, no padding, no need to repeat the words. Fine. When you will come here, where the marks live, 70% weightage. So if introduction is very good, conclusion also very good, but you have not served the main course, then there will be no marks. So the body of the answer have a weightage of how much? 70%. So this is the area where you have to show your best skill. Whereas majority of the public, they believe that the majority of my skill need to be at what part? Conclusion part. ये school का passage writing नहीं है. This is not school's passage writing. This is not speech. This is an answer, and in the answer, the main thing lies at where? In the body. Fine. Way forward or balanced synthesis, constitutional values and vision. Never mere summary. Never end alarmist. Never end alarmist means what? You have ended the answer. Like, see what happened in the movies. If they are going to make second part, so are they going to give a proper ending where your mind is relaxed, or they are going to push your mind to think beyond? What they do? They push to think more. Answer is something like, I have wind it up. You should not go for, if this will not happen, something will happen. So such kind of things, alarmist way of answer writing is not required. You have already addressed all those issues at where? Body of the answer. So you should not go for alarming something. You should not create a panic in the answer. Fine. You have to conclude it. Fine. So answer conclusion should not be open-ended. Open-ended means what? Open-ended means, for example, the same question if I take jobless growth. So I wrote that, what is jobless growth? Why there is a jobless growth? Why certain sectors are showing that there is a jobless growth? Why certain sectors are not showing jobless growth? But overall, employment is important and government should be remain focused on the employment. Despite government is going to be remain focused on the employment, the jobless growth is something which can emerge at any point of time. So if I am going to write this line, ki jobless growth is something which cannot be completely addressed and it can emerge any point of time again, though it has resolved, it is resolved, but it can emerge at any point of time. So such an alarming thing is not required. You should provide what? You should provide conclusion where something alarming is not required. Okay, so make sure you are going to have the structure, factors, one heading per factor, critical, merits, limitations, verdict. Fine. So make it simple. I will tell what it is, why it is, how it is, where it is, why it is not, why it is, all these things as per what? As per this thing. So basically, question have what? Basically, I will read the question. Fine. I'll read the question. I will underline keywords of the question and then I will give a thought to it. Fine. So now see what exactly you have to do in the answer. Question is there. Underline keywords of question. question. Give a thought to understand keywords and connect with the verb of question. When I say verb of the question, I mean they're asking for discuss, they're asking for analysis, they're asking for the examination. I'll do this thing. Now the third step is what? The third step is draft. Draft on rough page. Create a skeleton. This is I'm going to write in the introduction. This is I'm going to write in the very short one word. Just this is I'm going to mention the introduction. This I will mention the body. This mention I will the body, and then I will conclude in this way. So a rough draft is required to prepare. Once the draft is prepared, just give a one look to the draft. Okay, this draft is looking good. Now let's write. So you have 6 minutes. Fine, you have 6 minutes. First 10 seconds, you have read the question, you have underlined the question. From here, you started the processing of the question. So the processing of the question, it may take another 30 to 40 seconds for the second steps. Fine. So first 10 seconds, you have did this work, read the question, underlined the keywords. Next 30 to 40 seconds, you have established a connection with the verb and the concept. Now, in next 40 to 50 seconds, you can draft. For drafting, you can take time. Because even if you have 4 minutes to write 130 to 140 words, you will write. Don't worry. 4 minutes are enough to finish that 130 to 140 words. So, it should be like that. 10 seconds, then 20 to 30 seconds. Then you have to go for 60 to 80 seconds for what? 60 to 80 seconds for drafting. Step number 1, 10 seconds, finish the underlining part. Second step, 20 to 30 seconds, establish the connection. What the verb is, what the question is demanding. Third, immediately go for what? Immediately go for creating of a skeleton or the draft. Once the skeleton and draft is completed, then go for writing. So in first 2 minutes, first 3 steps should be completed. What 3 steps? Read the question, understand the question, and create a draft. First 2 minutes. It should be over. Then remaining 4 minutes or remaining 6 minutes, write the answer. Fine. So it is step by step a mechanical process. Fine. It is not something emotional, something unnecessary. And remember that if time is ticking and you found that 2 minutes gone, 2 minutes gone, and still you are stuck in step 2. You have not able to reach to step 3. Leave the question immediately. Leave the question immediately, because I told this thing in the beginning of the session. Sometimes leaving is also very important. A good investor always know that when to exit. This is the time to exit. So if you have already gone with the 2 minutes and still you are not able to reach step number 3, that is the framing of your answer, that means it's a difficult thing. Skip it. Go to the next question, finish that questions, all those questions. At the end, if you'll have a time, then see that. Otherwise, what will happen? You are going to waste your time in the ego satisfaction and you are going to lose 2 more questions. So it is always better to lose 1 question or 2 questions. 1 question. So this is the last thing I would like to strongly and very strongly mention for the beginners. And even this is also true for even an expert. If question is taking more than 2 minutes to reach the drafting stage, leave the question. Otherwise, this question is going to take the life of other questions also. Fine. So, though it is like little bit controversial. Fine. So, I was traveling in the train and 2 people are having a conversation. And one people have said that one is a driver He was a driver, fine, and he was like कि other person have asked कि भाई साहब एक बात बताओ, अगर आप ड्राइव कर रहे हो, रोड पे कुत्ता आ गया तो क्या करोगे? Fine, if you're driving in a proper speed and if dog will come, what you will do? He was a Haryanvi, he said क्या करूँगा? चढ़ा दूँगा गाड़ी इसके ऊपर. तो बोले तुम कुत्ते को मार दोगे? तो he said, see, if I am in a speed where I can brake the vehicle and I can stop it peacefully, I will try for it. But if I'm in the running traffic, fast moving traffic, and vehicle speed is high, I cannot take a risk of the life of the people who is sitting in my cab. So I have to make a choice. Shall I save the life of a dog or shall I save the life of people in my car? And I will choose people over the dog because I have a sympathy for the dog also. But the problem is when life is hard and put a difficult choice, then we should take the decision on the basis of rationality, not on the basis of emotions. So that driver guy have given a lot of insight. He is like, okay, I am not going to do this. I am going to make the decision on the basis of rational decision. So remember this, if question is taking too much time, fine, consider yourself in the driving seat. Fine, and that question might be going to satisfy your emotional or your ego, but it is going to cause you the exam. So skip that question. Understood? So this is all about, in general way, how to focus the answer. Tomorrow I will let you know paper 1, paper 2, paper 3, paper 4, how to handle. This PDF I'll send you in the advance. Today itself you will get this PDF so that you can analyze and start doing some practice. ठीक है? PYQ का practice आप start करो. Pick any topic and start doing that. And are you getting your evaluated copies? Have you got the evaluated copy? Have you submitted for the evaluation yesterday's question? Okay, once you will get the evaluation done, show me the answers. Okay, how you are writing, I want to see. Fine? Okay, thank you.